The following program contains mature subject matter. Viewer discretion is advised. Back to Access Tech Live.
Jason, Tyler McLean is with us today discussing the crucial topic of mental health. Now, Jason, welcome back. And, I want to talk to you a little bit about, and I guess expand on what we talked about with social media, and I would argue smartphones more generally as well, that have been linked to higher rates of anxiety, depression, isolation, and even loneliness. How do you solve this issue of what essentially has become a new addiction in our world?
You got to unplug. You got to get off your phones. Like I encourage people all the time to put the phone down, go for a walk in a forest or the woods or somewhere out a nice natural setting anyway, multiple times during the day. I myself, am guilty of spending way too much time on my phone. It's, I can get wrapped up in it really easy as so many people do. It is probably the most prominent addiction out there in the modern world. And, it does lead to a lot of different mental health challenges for sure. We're sitting there staring at these things, for hours and hours a day. Some people half the day is spent on their phone. I utilize mine for work and different things, but it's always about, the biggest thing I can tell people is, you can set different reminders and set different timing strategies and that for your apps and your phone. And that's a really effective way to sort of wean yourself off of, the longer durations that we've come accustomed to being on our phones. Social media, like I said, it's that double-edged sword. It's got, if you want to find positive things and you want to find things that can, help bring in more benefit into your life, they're there. However, with the algorithms and the way things are set up now, it's just like this mental pummeling of so many different things all the time that, again, it overrides our basic, brain functioning because it's just too much to process. Where our senses haven't evolved to adapt to that properly. So it creates all kinds of like a neurological mumbo jumbo in your mind, and this causes anxiety and depression, and it causes people to get very upset and sad and different things and all these different things. And the biggest problem with it, in my opinion, is that it's created a world of artificial connection. And see, when I speak with people and I encourage people about mental health, it's all about the connections. That's why I share my story so much, because people will resonate with a story through a connection, right? And social media is a breeding ground for fake, unrealistic connections that aren't true, but people are like, especially young people, are just so driven, by the likes and the follows and all that kind of stuff. And it's replaced going out and riding a bicycle with someone, or it's, replaced, just normal kind of friendships and these true social connections. We're social creatures when we need our tribes, right? And we need to have that personal connection, and that's what social media is robbing us of all the time.
And we need to wake ourselves up to these facts, don't we? Because I guess, and I know about this from my own experiences with disability, there's often a lot of othering that goes on here. That doesn't happen to me, that happens to other people. And I'm not obsessed by my smartphone. I only sit on it for 3 hours a night watching ridiculous cat videos that lead on to who knows what. And that's the reality of it, isn't it? That's what leads you down that path. We've all talked about it, we all say it. Oh yeah, I sit all night and doom scroll. But the reality is that leads to all these problems. We have to wake ourselves up to that.
100%, I couldn't agree more. I've been on the same thing where, you start looking at one thing and it leads 3 hours later, and I had things to do and you wanted to accomplish some goals and set, some strategies up for the day. And then it's all of a sudden it's 3 hours later and, your brain's fried and you have no focus and you have no drive now to accomplish those things that would have made your day better and more positive. So again, everybody's addicted to these phones, and I challenge any single person to leave their phone at home for an entire day and see how you do. Because, I've watched people that have forgotten their phone, and it's like this mad panic where they have to, they're screaming through traffic in their car and they have to get home and get their phone. And we've become so dependent, like codependent in an unhealthy way on these devices that again, it comes down to the individual taking their power back, like you do in any addiction, and you have to do it one step at a time.
Jason, it's Suicide Prevention Month, which is, the excuse for us to be talking about it right now. But arguably, I think, like many of these months and days, we should be talking about it, and you spend your life talking about it all year long, which is super important. And the fact that people are talking about this more and more, I think, is an incredible move towards, getting rid of that stigma and letting people realize it. As we talked about, technology can obviously play both the positive and negative roles here. So let's talk about the positive for a second. What are some of the ways that you think technology could be better used to prevent suicide?
Well, I'll give you an experience that I just recently had. So I talk suicide prevention in some of my posts, and often when I do, Instagram will flag it, or Facebook will flag it, as this language you're not supposed to use, and and then sometimes they'll shut down the posts and different things. So there's definitely some, there's some crimping on the infringements there, right? And so, while it's a positive thing that I'm doing and reaching out to people and sending a message of like, there's hope, you're not alone, and this is what you can do, it's being misread, I think, sometimes by, I guess, whatever, the systems that are in play on the social media sites. Having said that, for a more positive thing, again, it's, I think people just need to share genuine, authentic stories. And it's become such an artificial world, social media, that, fake is very real, and real is very rare. And, with the access to so many different, sites and apps and all these different things, there should be a really positive momentum swing with mental health. And statistically, it hasn't changed. It's actually gotten worse. So we really have to deep dive and look into what we can do, to broaden that positivity on these apps and these sites, right? And there has to be some regulations and different things like that, in my opinion. And again, just you'll see, like as an example, some celebrity will make a post in their new outfit and it'll get, 46 million likes and 800 billion gazillion follows and all that. And then you have a brilliant, young person speaking about, their challenges with their mental health, and it goes away. And, we need a shift in our culture, that's relevant on social media, because that is a very relevant part of life now. And as well as in real life, that they can kind of, be married together and yield a very positive effect on all the individuals out there.
Jason, I've got to ask you about AI, because everyone talks about AI right now, and it seems to me there are many people utilizing AI as a tool to combat loneliness. I've heard from a number of people who spend their nights talking to ChatGPT, the voice mode, or some app like Call Annie or Pi or whatever one they choose, to essentially get some conversation, maybe speak to someone because they're isolated themselves. In as brief as you can, how healthy is that?
I think there's some positive, healthy parts to it. At least they're talking to something or something that's acting like someone. So at least they're making those first initial steps. However, I think that, it's still not as interpersonal as a true human being. And that's a little more crucial, right? Like I was talking about earlier with that personal connection. AI it's got all kinds of things going on, and I've never experienced it personally in that way, so I can't really speak to it. But I think that if an individual is lonely or they're lost or something, at least they're getting some form of positive connection, enough that is helping them. I mean, it's a good first step. However, I would encourage further steps into more of a true human connection.
Jason, obviously, thank you so much for taking the time to join us. If people want to follow you in your journey and learn from you, where can they do that?
My Instagram is Jason Tyler McLean. My website, jasontylermclean.com. So you can access and contact me through either of those. Platforms are probably the easiest. I say to every person when I speak at different places that you send me a message or something, I'll do my best to get back. I get a lot of messages and stuff, but I always try to make sure I get back to people as quick as I can and help them or direct them in any different way, especially when it comes to if they're in a suicidal crisis or in a stage of planning or something like that. I make it a priority, obviously, to help people. So.
And if you want to get Jason's book, One Drop of Water, it's available now on Amazon, and you're writing your second book. So we look forward to that as well. And that episode of You Can't Ask That on AMI TV is available, called Depression, and it's available on AMI+. Thanks, Jason.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
There we go. Coming up, Stephen, iOS 18 accessibility. Ooh, that and more after a quick break here on Access Tech Live.
If you or someone you know is thinking about suicide, call or text the Canadian Suicide Crisis Helpline at 988. Support is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.